I will read from the book Magic Words. Here I am. As a result, when dealing with opposite viewpoints, being a bit more indirect can often be more effective. Rather than starting with information, start by encouraging people to be more open minded and receptive. This is why expressing doubt can help. Showing that we are conflicted or uncertain makes us seem less threatening. Expressing doubt about one's own view acknowledges that conflicting beliefs are valid, making the other side feel validated and more willing to listen. It recognizes that issues are complicated or nuanced, which increases receptiveness. Uncertainty signals an openness to other perspectives. So, particularly when issues are contentious or people are dug in, expressing a little doubt can actually be more persuasive. Popular press science coverage, for example, often treats research findings as more certain than they are. Front page articles report that drinking coffee increases pancreatic cancer or that short bursts of exercise are more effective than longer ones. But while claims like these make for great headlines, they are often followed by pieces months or years later that report the exact opposite. Not only does this leave the public confused, but it reduces confidence in science itself. While some argue that hedging will reduce the credibility of both scientists and journalists, this is not the case. Reporting or acknowledging study limitations actually leads readers to see both scientists and journalists as more trustworthy. When people know something is uncertain, pretending it's not can backfire. It comes off as overconfident or unrealistic and undermines our ability to persuade. So, in situations like these, the best course of action can be to express doubts. Turning statements into questions, for example, is a great way to invite feedback. It shows that rather than being dogmatic, we are open to and actively soliciting others' views or participation in the process. Sure, we have an opinion, but we are also interested in listening to what others have to say. The same goes for hedges and other tentative language. Words like might, could, and possibly are certainly a bit vague and ambiguous. Intelligence analysts, for example, are encouraged to steer clear of such terms in briefing because they can be misconstrued. But while these words suggest something is uncertain, that uncertainty is not always a bad thing, particularly when we want to be careful and not go beyond what we know for sure. Saying that study results suggest rather than demonstrate that X causes Y, for example, indicates that a relationship might be there but is not 100% proven, as long as that's the goal. Tentative language can actually be quite effective at communicating it. Making magic. Words do more than just convey facts and opinions. They signal how confident communicators are in the facts and opinions they are expressing. Consequently, words influence how we are perceived and the impact of what we say. Want to be perceived more positively? Increase your impact, ditch the hedges. When the goal is to convey confidence, avoid words and phrases like may, could, and in my opinion, which suggest that things and the people saying them are uncertain. Use definites. Rather than hedging, use definites instead. Words like definitely, clearly, and obviously, which suggest whatever was said is not just an opinion, it's an irrefutable truth. Don't hesitate. Ums and ahs are natural part of speech, but too many of them can undermine people's confidence in us and our message. So, cut the fillers to decrease hesitations, plan what to say in advance or pause to collect your thoughts when needed. Turn past into presents. Using the present tense can communicate confidence and increase persuasion, so to signal certainty rather than using past tense. For example, I loved that book. Use present tense. Example, I loved that book instead. Know when to express doubt. While seeming to be certain is often beneficial if we want to show we are open minded, receptive to opposing viewpoints, or aware of nuances, expressing doubt can help. By harnessing the language of confidence, we can signal our expertise, showcase our openness to opposing viewpoints, and encourage others to go along with what we are suggesting. So far, we have talked about two types of magic words: words that activate identity and agency, and words that convey confidence. Next, we will talk about a third type of magic words, ones that help us ask the right questions. The third chapter headline is itself Ask the Right Questions. So it goes here like this: when there is a difficult task at work that we can't seem to solve, or a do it yourself project that proves tougher than expected, there are various ways to get unstuck. We can search online, brainstorm alternative approaches, or use trial and error, hoping to get it right. There is a particular solution that we often tend to avoid thought, and that is asking for advice. We could ask a co-worker or call a friend and see if they can help, but we tend not to. We don't want to bother them. Who knows if they will be able to help anyway? And even if they can, we are worried that they will think less of us. We think that asking for advice will make us seem incompetent, so we'll skip it altogether. Could that intuition be misguided? In 2005, a couple of my Wharton colleagues and a Harvard behavioral scientist asked people to complete sets of brain teasers. They included easy questions like who was the first president of the United States, George Washington, and extremely difficult ones like what is the correct definition of sesquipedalian. Answer is tending to use long words. Participants were told the scientists were interested in how communication shapes problem solving, and so each person would be matched with an anonymous partner to communicate with during the study. Each participant was told that they would complete some basic brain teasers first, and then their partner would complete the same brain teasers later in the experiment. After completing the first set of brain teasers, the participants were told that they had done decently well, had gotten 7 out of 10 correct, but that their partner had not done quite as well, had gotten only 6 out of 10 right. Then they received a note from their partner. For some, the note was just a simple greeting, "Hey there," or a few words of solidarity, "Hey there, we are in this together." But for others, a question was added in the ad, "Hey there, do you have any advice?" In actuality, there was no partner. The scientists were interested in how people are perceived when they ask for advice. Whether compared to just making chit chat, asking for advice would lead someone to be seen more positively or negatively. So they paired participants with a computer simulated partner so they could see how what the partner said shaped how they were perceived. After receiving the message from their partner, participants rated them on a number of dimensions: how capable they thought their partner was, as well as how qualified and skilled. If asking for advice make people seem less competent, participants should have thought worse of partners who did so. Asking should have made them seem dependent on others or inferior. But the opposite was true. When the scientists analyzed the results, they found that asking for advice had made people think their partner was more competent, not less. And the reason why has everything to do with how asking someone for advice make them feel. People like feeling smart. They like feeling that other people think they are intelligent or have valuable things to say. So, asking for advice can make us look smart because it strokes the advice giver's ego rather than thinking we are not capable or are stupid for asking. Advice givers draw a very different conclusion. Of course, my opinions are valuable, so this person is smart for asking for them. In some sense, asking for advice is almost like flattery. When we want people to like us, we often try to flatter them. But while people like being flattered, they don't always trust the person flattering them. They are smart enough to realize that flattery comes with ulterior motives. Consequently, flattery can backfire. Asking for advice is more effective, though, because it's less overt. Rather than telling someone they are great, asking them for advice shows that you hold them in high regard, that you think they are smart and value their opinion. Consequently, not only does asking for advice give valuable insights, it also makes the asker seem more competent. It makes advice givers feel smarter and more self confident, which makes them see askers more positively as well. The advantages of asking for advice is just one example of a much broader linguistic category. Asking questions, whether at work or home, we are constantly asking and answering questions. Which solution do you like better? How much will it cost? Can you pick the kids up from practice? By some estimates, people ask and answer hundreds of questions a day. Questions serve a variety of functions. Sure, they collect information or satisfy curiosity, but they also impact how the asker is perceived, the flow of conversation, and the social connection between the people talking. In any social interaction, though, there were a seemingly infinite number of questions that could be asked. We could ask about someone's job, their interests, or even what they had for breakfast. And while some questions seem like they might facilitate social connection or make the asker look good, others seem less beneficial. Ask someone an embarrassing or intrusive question, for example, and they might not be as interested in talking to us again. So, are certain questions more effective than others? And how do we know the right type of questions to ask? Four strategies for asking better questions are two. The first one is follow. The second one is deflect difficulties. The third one is avoid making assumptions. And the fourth one is start safe then build. Now we will start with the first one, that is follow up. When it comes to having successful interpersonal interactions, the age old story is that it's all about personality and appearance. Some people are funnier, more charismatic, or more attractive than others, and these personal qualities just make them inherently more likable. Another common explanation is that interpersonal similarity is key. It's often said that birds of a feather flock together, for example, and people with common interests may have more to talk about or better things to say. But while these factors certainly play a role, they are somewhat disheartening because there is not much we can do to change them. Our height is fixed, it's tough to change one's personality, and while we can learn about blockchain, stoicism, or any other topic to try and fit in with a particular group of people, it's not the easiest thing to pull off. Does that mean that the less attractive, less charming of us are doomed to fail, or might there be another way? To find out what drives first impressions, researchers from Stanford and UC Santa Barbara analyzed thousands of first dates. They collected demographic information like age, physical characteristics like height and weight, and other features like hobbies and interests. In addition, they captured the interaction itself. Using microphones, they recorded what each person said throughout the date. Not surprisingly, appearance played a role. Women, for example, were especially attracted to men who were taller than average. Similarity, similarity also mattered. People were more interested in going on a second date with another person who had similar interests and hobbies. Even beyond these more fixed aspects, though, the words people used has a significant impact. Asking questions lead to a better first impression. It made people feel like they clicked and made them more interested in going on a second date. Thank you. That's it for the day.